And this lady talked about the piece of Route 66 that she and her husband
dedicated.
She rebuilt it and fixed it up.
I'm Dorothy Myers, and I want to tell you about the Allen Dorothy Myers Parkway. We came to Lexington in 1951. My husband went into business here in 1955. So when we were here 50 years, we wanted to pay back to the community. So we have asphalted 2.2 miles of the old 66.
And there's all kinds of road now. Spurs are like dead ends, and you go on that just to experience it. So this is the original Route 66. Anyway, we ended up going to a museum. It wasn't so much a museum that focused on Route 66. We're standing outside the McLean County Museum of Natural History, and I'm talking to Jeff right here. And Jeff is the curator?
I'm the marketing director in community relations. Route 66 was kind of a hot spot for the Illinois State Troopers. That's where they gave out a lot of their tickets.
Judge, this is Chester. He's our witness. Now, Chester, you say that you are a police officer?
Yes, I was.
And you were a police officer when?
From 1957 to 1984.
Well, Chester, I want to ask you a question. Were you guilty of giving out tickets to all these people?
I don't know if I was guilty. I passed out a few traffic tickets to those people that needed them. I never gave anybody in that didn't need one.
Did you let people loose? Like if I was going down Route 66, being from New Jersey and all, that you'd give me a break?
Sure, I'd give a lot of people breaks.
Now, I know you don't want to divulge any names, but I'm sure celebrities have been passing through on Route 66 when they're touring it. Have any of them tried to talk themselves out of a ticket?
Well, some of them do. I even had a politician try to run away from one, but he didn't get the job done. The old bloody 66, there was a stretch of Route 66 up north of Pontiac that before my time there used to be a lot of fatal accidents there, and they called that Dead Man Alley, so that gives you some indication.
This building was built in 1903 after the 1900 fire. This exhibit is a balance. It shows both points of view, those who were for the war and of course those who were against it. This is the hooch over here. This is where the soldiers on the front line would spend most of their time. This was at Bow Lock Base Camp. We're in the Pioneer Discovery Room, and this is where you can come and get an idea, a sense of what it was like to live in the pioneer times. Atli Stevenson grew up at 1316 East Washington Street here in Bloomington, Normal. Atli Stevenson II. This exhibit, Stevenson House Treasure, features artifacts collected from the home here on Washington Street. This is the Tilbury Flash. It's a racing plane that was built in the 1930s, and it's said that in 1932 it was the smallest racing plane in the world.
So after Bloomington, we headed on south to Atlanta. Atlanta, which I couldn't wait to go to.
The clock tower, though, was very interesting. Vincent got to wind the clock.
Oh, as the keeper of the clock.
And you have to wind, they do volunteers through the town to wind this clock. And you have to literally wind it by hand.
That's right. And it's a very big honor to be the keeper of the clock.
Oh, it is.
Here we are in Atlanta. It's a small town, about 2,000 people. Right now we're standing in front of a monument dedicated to all the men and women who have honorably served our country from the Atlanta community. And this is outside the public library. This is a clock that they take turns to wind. We're inside the clock tower. Bill Thomas is in charge of this clock?
Yes.
So, in fact, I believe from what Bill told me is that the winding of this clock seems to be an honor in Atlanta. It's like the keys to the city in other towns. Can you tell us a little bit about the clock?
Sure, I'd be glad to. There are actually 9 of us, Vincent, who take turns winding this clock, and we are officially known as the keepers of the clock. The clock has been in town since 1908, and the town is used to hearing it chime on the hour, and we are officially known as the keepers of the clock. The clock has been in town since 1908, and the town is used to hearing it chime on the hour. It used to reside in the high school building here in town, but when that was torn down, they saved the clock, built this 35-foot tall clock tower specifically so they could continue to hear the clock. So you happen to be here during my week to keep the clock running. So it's a good week for me to show you this.
Okay.
All right. 3 times a week, I have to come over and get this handle and wind 2 parts of this Seth Thomas clock. So this is what I do, and it takes...
Lifts those weights up.
Yes, I'm lifting these weights up, and it takes 52 revolutions for me to fully wind this.
Yes.
I don't think I'll do all 52, but I'll do most of them. So it's a pretty good workout.
Yeah, why don't I give it a try?
Okay, sure. And I'll show you, we have a very high-tech way of knowing how far we go. See this little piece of string?
Yes.
We have to get this wire over in line with that string.
Oh, I see. So this is the gym.
There you go. That's good. Yeah, we also have it marked on
Nice.
the wire, the cable here.
Good idea.
Okay.
And then-
Now, we take it off, and you see it's got 2 different sizes on
right.
it. So we're going to put it on this mechanism.
Okay.
And this is what actually keeps the clock mechanism running. It's a much smaller set of weights, so you're going to find this much easier, and there'll be a little painted piece on this cable that tells us when to stop. So go ahead and do that one.
Right out here.
It'll come right down, yes, in line with the gear.
And I do it in the same direction?
Same way.
Like this? Oh, it is much easier.
Oh, isn't that nice? Yeah. Here you go. Just bring her all the way down and stop it right about there.
Excellent.
All right. We're good to go for 2 more days now. We don't have to come back. Isn't that nice?
Yes, it is.
The worst week to pull clock winding duty is when the time changes from daylight savings time back to standard, because you have to come in here with this little key, and it fits over here.
All right.
And then see this small clock face?
Yes.
By turning this small key, I can actually regulate all 4 sides, the hands of the clock, 35 feet up, but it takes forever to change it all the way around 12 hours. It'll take about 45 minutes of doing that. And that's our clock.
Oh, thank you very much.
So you are now an honorary keeper of the clock here in Atlanta.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'll bring that with me wherever. In fact, I think the whole world will see that now.
Good, good. This is called the Bunyan Giant. And this man was originally designed actually to hold a muffler. He stood out in front of a chain of muffler shops out in California, Illinois, and when that chain went out of business, he was sold, and the owner of a hot dog stand in Cicero, Illinois, on Route 66, bought him, took the muffler out of his hands, and had a hot dog built instead. And he stood up there for over 40 years in front of the hot dog stand. There were only 150 of these made, and then the mold was broken.
We're in front of the Palms Cafe. This is the hot spot here in Atlanta. And we're speaking to
Paul Adams.
A cousin of Paul's started this restaurant back in 1934.
Paul, you're going to tell us some stories?
Well, yes, this is a kind of a dear spot in my life. When I arrived back in Atlanta, I was an unmarried man. Well, when I arrived back in Atlanta, I found this school teacher here that looked rather interesting, and she was a little bit interested in getting married too.
And it was shortly after that we got together, and we've been married for 64 years. Okay, we're in the Palm Cafe, and we're talking to Miss Loomy?
Yes, Miss Loomy.
Miss Loomy, and Miss Loomy has been running this place for how long?
A year and a half now.
You must get a lot of international visitors here in your restaurant.
Yes, we do. We do get people a lot from Italy, Switzerland, Holland, France, from everywhere.
All right, so I see you brought us a couple of your pies. We got two of them on the table, one that's cut open, ready for us to eat, and the other one that wants to be cut open and wants us to eat it. So let's talk about this first pie right here.
What is this, Louie?
What is that?
That's a rhubarb pie.
A rhubarb.
Rhubarb. Have you ever had rhubarb, Vincent?
I don't think I have. I'm not even sure what a rhubarb is. So let's talk about this first pie right here.
What is this, Louie?
What is that?
That's a rhubarb pie.
A rhubarb.
Rhubarb. Have you ever had rhubarb, Vincent?
I don't think I have. I'm not even sure what a rhubarb is.
I didn't even know what it is till I started making them too.
Rhubarb is a plant that grows wild, and it has stalks on it, sort of like celery.
Yes.
And you cut it into chunks, and it's very sweet sour. It's very tart. And you put a lot of sugar in it, and it's like no other taste you've ever had, so you'll have to try it.
And this other pie is?
That's the peach one.
The peach pie.
Yeah.
Now I've seen you won all kinds of awards.
Yeah, I'm proud of them.
What pie did you cook to get those pie awards?
Peach and apple.
And the contest that Lumi actually won the 2 first place ribbons on had pies entered from the entire state of Illinois, and hers were chosen as the 2 best.
Unbelievable. I named it Shizuko salad because there's a lady. She's a regular customer and comes like twice a day here, and she orders that pretty much every day. It's like I was keep writing to the cook what she wanted every day, so I finally named it Shizuko. And this is a pony shoe. Usually you can have a horseshoe too, which is with 2 meats. And this is a smaller version, so it's just French fries with cheese and some choice of meat, like a hamburger or turkey or whatever people want to put in it.
We stayed at the America's Value Inn.
It's the only place in town.
But it was very nice.
They treated us very nice.
The best coffee you want to drink. They had, you remember they had hazelnut, they had this kind, that kind,
And Holly
all
loves
different
coffee.
kinds. And I love coffee, so.
And this town had their share of murals as well. Not like Pontiac,
Not like
Cuba.
Right.
The mill is a landmark in town of
Lincoln, Illinois. Yes,
right.
I know that.
And then in this town, this used to be a old place where people in the army used to stay.
Yeah.
It was a barracks, and then they converted it into a restaurant.
Okay, we're in the Army Barracks section of the mill. And after World War II, in order for the mill to expand into a larger restaurant and a bar, they moved an Army Barracks from Havana, Illinois, across the Illinois River over to Lincoln here and attached it to the back of the mill. So this was part of a camp called Camp Ellis that housed our soldiers and also German POWs during World War II. And after the war, all 2,500 buildings on that camp were leveled or removed or taken away. So we ended up with 3 of them here in Lincoln, Illinois, and this one probably is now the most famous, being connected to the mill.
It'll be done.
Lincoln is really known for.
Oh, the giant, you remember the Best Western in Lincoln? And they had a giant stagecoach and Lincoln, remember?
Right.
They had this giant stagecoach.
It's the biggest one in the world.
All right, Jeff Ladd again. We're here at the world's largest covered wagon, which is an official record in the Guinness Book of World Records. It's 40 feet long, it stands 26 feet tall, it weighs 5 tons. Abraham Lincoln, sitting on the wagon, is 13 feet tall in the seated position. He's made out of fiberglass and he weighs 350 pounds.
Like everything on
Route 66.
It's giant everything.
Everything. And the hotel was very nice.
We didn't stay there, but...
We didn't stay there. They wanted us to stay there. We just, obligations.
And here we are at an old bell station. Yeah, back in the day when gasoline only cost 31 cents. Peaceful little town. In Sherman, we went to an old bar. Now this bar has been here for the longest time.
Yeah, and we love bars, so. I love bars.
I mean, this is an old
Forever.
66
Yeah.
landmark, and the place is, I mean, you feel like an
An old hometown bar.
Yes. Here we are at the Double H, and Double H is a little wait stop for travelers heading on their way to Springfield, talking to Tim Farley. Tim Farley runs this place, is that correct, Tim?
That's correct.
And you've been running this place for how long?
About 10 years. I'm the fourth owner. It was built in 1946. It's never closed as a bar, an eatery. Just kind of a neighborhood bar, but we get a lot of people off 66. Some people from Brazil were in here just last week. We've had people from Transylvania. It's just a fun place, and as you know, right across the street is an original piece of Route 66 in the park across the street. That's actually the road that it went through there. So originally, when Richie built this, he got out of the war, and there was a granary across the street, and all these trucks would pull up to unload their grain, and he decided, why not build a bar? So there was a brick making place right here in Sherman, and the bricks that were in this building were made right here in Sherman. And Richie had it for a long time. It was called Richie's, and then it changed to Double H.
Talking to Tim Farley. Tim Farley runs this place, is that correct, Tim?
That's correct. The way the Double H came across was Lois Howard, husband, came out of the bar one day and got hit by a train right out here and was killed. Later in life, her mom married a Hewitt, and they got married, and she bought the bar. Thus comes the name the Double H. So it's kind of unique that her husband died on the track, she bought the bar and named it the Double H, and it's been the Double H ever since. Well, if you've never heard about dingle balls before, it's a new game they invented where you take these little balls and you throw them underhand and you hit them on the little piece we made back there, and it's just like horseshoes. If you get it on the top, it's 3. If you get in the middle, it's 2. And you get in the bottom, it's 1. And you add score just like you do in horseshoes. This is another game we play called the ring toss. You take the ring and try and get it up there and hook it on that hook. And some of the guys out here can do it 10 or 15 times in a row. I can't do it at all, but I'll show you again. Oh, I missed it. But anyway, the idea is you throw the ring up here and it hooks on there. And they sit out here and play these games and have a good time.
The towns that grew up along the route were first part of the coal mining effort here in Illinois. The railroads followed. The towns grew to a certain point, being supported by the mining industry. Coal mining Illinois has not quite disappeared, but many of the small towns that are along the older alignments of the route have never fully recovered.
Speaking to Jeff right now, and Jeff, you're affiliated with what?
I'm with the Springfield, Illinois Convention and Visitors Bureau. Shea's Gas Station Museum is a very iconic stop on the Route 66 tour. People from all over the country have been here. We're here with Bill Shea, owner of Bill Shea's Gas Station Museum. And Bill, can you tell us a little bit of how long that you have owned the gas station and when you started collecting the memorabilia?
Well, actually, I started when I was a kid with Texaco on the next corner in this same block. But a friend of mine ran that, and we'd hang around there as kids, you know. So then I went in the service and come back, and he wanted me to go in partners with him. I said, you know, I think this is something I don't want to do. So he talked me into coming and trying it, so I did. And then in a few months he died. So then I stayed until 1955 with Texaco, and I had an opportunity to come here and just be in the same block. So I moved here in '55, and I've been here ever since.
And tell me about this picture again.
That was taken by a guy from Switzerland. The picture was on the calendar that he sent us back.
Okay.
And the calendar was in 2003.
Wow.
So we had the picture blown up and put up there next to that Texaco.
Bill Shea was the older gentleman.
The older gentleman and I just got along so well.
Bill Shea was about, what, about 80 years old or something
Yeah,
like that?
I attract older men. He was a part. He was great.
We went to the
Cozy Drive.
Cozy Dog.
It's Cozy Drive-In.
Yes, but they got the Cozy Dog there.
This is the Cozy Drive-In. This is the place, the original creator of the Cozy Dog. Bob Waldmeyer in 1946 created the Cozy Dog.
And right now I'm speaking to Tony. Tony is one of the cooks here. Is that correct?
That's correct. Well, it all starts in 1946. My grandfather was stationed in the military, and he stopped at a family roadside diner, and corn dog was on the menu, and he ordered that, and 45 minutes later out came the corn-breaded hot dog, no stick, that had been baked in an oven, and he loved it so much that he wanted to find a way to make it quicker to order and quicker to serve, and that's when he got the idea to vertically fry them in vegetable shortening. And he happened to have a good friend whose father was a baker. So putting their brains together, they trial and errored until they got batter down that would stick to the hot dogs and fry up and taste good. And they sold them on the air base and called them GI hot dogs. And they were so popular that they brought the idea back with them to Springfield, where they were renamed the Cozy Dog, and in 1949 the 6th Street location opened, which stands next door to this building now, and we've been keeping the tradition alive ever since.
We went to Lincoln's tomb.
Yep, it was very educational. You had to rub his nose, right?
Rub his nose, that's good luck.
Brings you good luck.
Everybody rubs his nose.
Lincoln's grave.
Yeah.
We went there.
Where he was first laid down, and then they moved him, and then moved him again.
And they moved him again.
They moved him all over the place.
Yes.
Well, Holly, what's coming up in the next episode?
Well, we went mural gazing in Cuba.
Yes, we did, and I saw a Cozy Dog. We saw a Cozy Dog in Springfield.
And then we went to Docks in Girard.
And then I found myself behind bars in Carlinville.